Well, Shane, did you believe a man could fly?
I thought he could leap tall buildings in a single bound. I didn't think he could fly. So,
But he can fly.
but that dude
He
can
soared
fly.
through the air. That dude can fly.
He
That's the
can
tagline of that movie. Did you know that?
He can fly.
No, you'll believe a man can fly. They
What an
called their
awful tagline.
But the thing is that was how I think they released like a teaser poster with just the Superman emblem. We're talking about Superman the movie, sorry.
Yeah.
But they released like a teaser with the emblem, and the tagline was just, you'll believe a man can fly. They didn't know how they were going to make him fly yet.
All right.
Yeah, so because they wanted to do, it's like, this movie's amazing, by the way. I actually genuinely love it. I have very weird, funny feelings and thoughts on it, but I do think it is like a genuinely good movie.
Yeah. When I told Megan that we were watching Superman, she was like, the old one, right? I was like, yeah. And she's like, all right. And I was like, what was that tone? She's like, I don't know. I was just like, okay. And then so I was watching it, and then she came and sat in with me, and she was like, wait, is this movie like good? I was like, yes, Megan, it's Superman. It's like a classic. She was like, oh, I thought it was really cheesy. I thought people didn't like it. It's like, no, this movie's a classic. Like, it's a
By
classic.
3 and 4, yeah, people don't like the
Yes.
Christopher Reeve Superman run, but 1 and 2 people actually really like, and 2 was the one I watched more as a kid because we had the VHS.
Yeah.
And it was a little more like actiony. It had Zod, it had a bunch of other people and stuff.
Here's my thing. I thought I had seen way more of this movie than I had, because apparently I've seen a lot more of Superman 2. I thought Zod was the villain in this.
Nope, Zod is the villain in the next one. Which, like,
why have I seen so much of Superman 2? And then so Zod shows up at the beginning of the movie, and I was like, hell yeah, let's get Zod up in the mix. And then we don't see that motherfucker again for the rest of the movie. I was very confused.
Yeah, it is genuinely, like, watching it this time was the first time that actually occurred to me, where I was like, wait, why is he in this? Like, I guess they had to set up something.
Back to back?
I don't think it was back to back, but I think that it was more at the time where they knew that sequels would be coming out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think they knew there was a much better
blueprint.
chance.
This is like the blueprint for like the modern,
yes,
like superhero movie in like so many ways. It's incredible.
My guess is whenever Christopher Reeve signed up, they signed him up for 2 movies, so they could get him for cheaper in case the movie blew up.
Yeah,
would be my guess as to what happened with that.
It's a good guess.
Because when he inevitably signs up for 3 and 4, he'll renegotiate and he'll get paid out for those. But
I don't know why
it's pretty common. I mean,
why I thought 1 and 2 and 3 were like shot like back to back. Basically, I thought they were all connected in some way. Because didn't Richard Donner get like? Because didn't he get like kicked out like halfway through the making of 3 or something?
No, 2. So it's 2.
2. Oh, okay.
And there is a famous, like, I own like a Blu-ray set with all of the Superman and the Batman movies from the 80s, so very weird set. It's cool, but I own that set, but it only has the Richard Donner cut of 2, which I'm not sure I've ever actually seen.
Really?
Because I know I've seen 2, but I don't know which version, because as a kid I just put in the VHS tape. I didn't actually know if it was Richard Donner's cut, but it's famously better than the theatrical cut. So after watching it this time, I'm very excited to watch this, which, by the way, I watched this on VHS this time because I had watched it earlier this year on Blu-ray. And wild story here, I didn't know there was a director's cut of this movie.
Yeah.
So they get to this point in the beginning, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, I have no recollection of this guy, because this dude in like a full tinfoil helmet with square eye holes is standing there talking to the Council of Krypton. And I'm like, how have I seen this movie like 7 times throughout my life and have no recollection whatsoever of this scene? That's impossible, right? I let it go. I move on. There's little things spread out that I don't remember. And then we get to another scene where I was like, okay, that was not in the version I watched earlier this year. So wild, there's a director's cut of this movie that
Aren't there 3 versions?
Yeah, so there's another version that was like an aired for TV version that's like 3 hours long that I've heard is like paced really poorly and not very good. But yeah, so I had a very strange experience watching it this time where I was like, oh, there's a different version of this movie out there. And it was good. Like, there's one scene in there that I'm like, that should have been in the full version. And most of the rest of it, I could have just been fine without.
Yeah.
Like there's a bit of a cool moment like sequence where Lex is trying to destroy him when he's getting into his lair. So he has like all these machine guns hitting him and they bounce off, in true 70s thing, which is fun. And then he like just walks through them. So Lex turns on like flamethrowers to try to torch him, which is actually a really cool shot that I'd be curious how they did, because he's just like looks like he's standing in the middle of flames, like genuinely. It's pretty cool. It's like a really good effect they do. And then he tries to freeze him, and then he gets into the main base, and pretty much everything from that point on. It's like a couple different goofs and gags maybe, but it's basically the same. But yeah, it was a strange experience, because like at first I thought the movie was gaslighting me. Like I thought I thought somebody made this version just to trick John, we
changed it just to trick John.
Yeah, like that's how I felt. I was like, what is happening?
Yeah.
But this movie is pretty awesome. So you've never seen it. What Superman movies have you seen? What like knowledge of the character do you have? I mean, in the grander pop culture sense.
It's Superman, so I have a very clear understanding of most of the like major canon things. You know what I mean? Baby from Krypton, Kal-El, Kryptonite, Zod. So I have seen Man of Steel. I may have seen Superman Returns, but I don't remember. I've seen like chunks of it, I think. I think it was like on FX, and I watched like half of it. I have seen like some of like the Justice League cartoon and things like that. So it's like I have a very clear understanding of him as like a piece of pop culture iconography, because truth, justice, and the American way. So it's like,
which, by the way, we'll get into that in a bit, but that motto has changed and it's much better now. It's so much better now.
And so like I have a very clear understanding of him as pop culture iconography and a lot of the canon and stuff. Obviously, I have not read the comics, so like apparently I thought I had seen this movie, as we have discussed.
Yeah.
But apparently, I've only seen a lot of Superman 2, not Superman 1.
Yeah, but so like you have all of the base knowledge, about him as a character. When you see a Superman, you can tell if he's good or bad at the job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
yes.
And we'll talk more about the different iterations as we go. But I want to ask this, and I have a point in asking this, because I know this is a pointless thing to ask, but my grander point, I have an interesting thing I've been thinking about after this watch.
Yeah.
Film as a whole is a very subjective medium. It is not a... I hate the term when we talk about like objectively this movie, that or one thing or the other, right? Like the only thing I'm okay with that is like when you go objectively this movie's like shot well, like technical things like that where you're like, no, it looks good. Like it is a movie that is clear, everything is in focus, nothing is overexposed, like that type of thing. You can talk about objectives, but that does not make the movie good or bad.
Yeah.
So we're gonna play really quick after saying that. Is this movie objectively good? Because I have such weird thoughts this time.
I have some complicated feelings on it, I think, as well. Because, like, I don't think... This movie's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. Like, it skips over some, like, really important shit where I'm like, y'all just left that out? Yep. Where it's like, nah, Superman, I feel like it does that a few times. But, God, it's clearly, like... this movie really won me over, like in a way that I was expecting it to. Like I wasn't like resistant to it, but man, it's just so like fun and sweet and like an absolute heart of gold. Like that is like truly
charming as hell.
Yes. Like so, from a story structure perspective. Ooh, not great.
Structure's the exact thing I want to talk about. Yeah. Do you know the minute point that Christopher Reeve shows up in this movie?
I'm sure it's like 70.
It is. I legitimately think like 50 minutes into this movie.
Yeah, it's a long time.
And the shot when he shows up as Superman, which by the way, that shot is like genuinely brilliant. I think like
you think of that in this shot where he, you don't even see his face.
Yeah, he flies in and turns, which like at the time and how practical, like that's amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we could have a whole conversation about the practical effects in this movie.
and we will. But from a structure standpoint, this movie doesn't make sense. You know what I mean?
It's very
it doesn't
weird.
really explain Lex Luthor. It doesn't. It breezes past his origins in a long, like it spends quite a bit of time on Krypton, all things considered, and then it breezes past his Smallville era.
Yeah.
And yet there's something about it, and this is Superman, Spider-Man, and Batman are the three characters you can do this with, I think.
Yeah.
You can just breeze by anything resembling an origin and everyone's got it. We'll have political corner on Superman later because I have feelings on the Jesus metaphor of this character too.
Yeah.
He's not Jesus, he's Moses, but whatever.
I love
We'll get into it. We'll get into it.
Yeah. What a good, yeah.
But this movie is just, it has all of the charm in the world. So I think exactly what you said. It wins you over because you're never like out on it because it opens with these brilliant, with what is the most iconic film score of all time, potentially top 5 at least,
top 3 maybe. It's
like
that's like one of the first things I thought while watching this movie. Like, there's that score. There it is.
It's so good that there are like almost no piece of Superman media that does not use it in some way or has their score heavily inspired by it.
I don't know how you couldn't use
exactly. Like I've heard people be like, I wish that for this new one that's coming out, we'll talk about that too, but this new one's coming out, I've heard people be like, well, I wish they would just use a completely original score. And I'm like, you can't.
It's Superman.
It's like making a
sound.
It's like making a Jaws movie and not having bottom.
Yes.
It doesn't work. Now, I fully love what this new Superman movie is doing with its kind of more rock-inspired score. There's a bit more electric guitar in there, but it's the Superman theme. This has become synonymous with this character. You see a blurry photo of Superman and you start humming the score. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
It is just irremovable from any piece of Superman media from now on.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, like Christopher Reeve was born to do this. You know what I mean? Like you look at him and you're like, well, yeah, you're not. Nobody else is gonna play Superman.
And one thing I genuinely love about Christopher Reeve as Superman is man, he is so handsome. Oh my God, he is so handsome, and he's so like not handsome as Clark Kent. He is such a fucking good Clark Kent.
Well, okay, from a decision and character point of view, I love that this movie chooses to do a real character introduction with Clark and not Superman.
Yeah.
Like Superman, it gets this big special effect moment where he flies in and goes past camera, and then you don't see Superman again for another like half hour. Like it's just this like slow kind of this is Clark Kent, show him the ropes, and he's dopey and he's hitting the doors and he's going in the alley scene in this movie is iconic. And I love it dearly.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. He is the best actor to ever do the dichotomy of Superman, right? Of the Clark versus Kal-El kind of thing.
Yeah. Like, look, not to make this
good.
like a Henry Cavill versus Christopher Reeves conversation, but like, I think Henry Cavill is a good Superman. He is not a good Clark Kent.
But the movies also don't hardly make him be Clark Kent in the sense of the Daily Planet. You know what I mean?
Like, very fair. And that's more or less what I'm getting at. I'm not blaming Henry Cavill. Don't get me wrong. That iteration of Clark Kent is not what I know as Clark Kent, which is quiet, mild-mannered, awkward, like
hunched and kind of the big
complete
suit,
opposite of Superman in every way. And so it is believable because he's not wearing a mask, but like he's not Bruce Wayne in the fact that he can more or less hide behind the cowl. Like his face is exposed at all times. You have to believe, no, there's no way that this dude who looks really similar, there's no way that dude could be Superman. Like, because look at him. Like, and I don't think I've ever seen a Superman on screen that does that quite as well. That being said, I don't remember how well
Brandon Routh.
Brandon Routh, thank you. I almost said Zachary Quinto, but it was a different actor from the 2000s that everybody forgot about since then.
Wow.
Does
true.
Brandon Routh show up in the CW?
Yes.
Crisis
the CW Arrowverse. He shows up as two characters actually. He plays Adam, which is like a scientist. He builds a suit, and then they go across the multiverse looking for heroes to help save the day, and he plays Kingdom Come Superman. With Kingdom Come, in that the suit, that still might be the best suit a Superman actor's ever worn, is that one he wears in that show. It is like a little on the cheap side, and yet it is just a Superman costume. It's so simple and cool, like it's a lot better to me than his TV show version, or his movie version that he wore in Superman Returns. Yeah, that dude Brandon Routh looks like Superman. He legitimately, I understand why that guy was cast as Superman. He was as good as he could have been in a movie like that.
And he looks like Christopher Reeves. Like he looks like, because
all
that's
of these
supposed
actors
to be like a
do.
Sequel, right? Like
kind of, sort of, a little bit. Yes and no is the answer to that question.
Yeah.
It's confusing, but also yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but back to the 70s one. How do you feel about Lois Lane? I think she's really great as Lois in this movie.
Margot Kidder absolutely rules.
Yeah, she rules. She's, to me, the best Lois we've had. And I'm watching Smallville right now, and I really like that Lois, but Margot Kidder's, she's Lois Lane. You know what I mean? Down to the fact that Lois is not good at spelling, which is something that I really love about the character that's like weirdly baked into her at this point.
Yeah. I think
it's so sweet.
This movie feels like such a blueprint for, obviously Superman, for like the Superman post this movie, but man, it feels like such a blueprint for like superhero action filmmaking. You know what I mean? Like in like such an incredible way. And so yes, like this version of Lois Lane will be the version that every Lois Lane will be compared to. The actress that they have for the new one, I can't remember her name. What's her name, Spencer?
Rachel Brosnahan.
Rachel Brosnahan, man, she even looks a little bit like Margot Kidder,
and Corin Sweat looks a little bit like Christopher Reeve. You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong, Superman is an iconic look. You know what I mean? Like he's big, broad shouldered, has the blue eye, like the hair kind of slicked back. There are only certain people who can play him, and they have found one after another a guy who you're like, well, that guy could be Superman. So it's like, even like Tom Welling is so good as Clark Kent, and you're like, I always joke that like these actors must have walked into the room and they just went, send everybody else home. Like it's just them. Like we don't even have to read. You're just the guy.
It's funny because like Corn Sweat, like when he got cast, it was like, I remember there was some like, yeah, all right, I can kind of see it. And then we see him in the suit and you're like, oh, okay, there he is. We found him.
As soon as he bulked up, you're like, there it is. Like, because in Pearl, he's like thin. Like he's like, he's in shape, but he's thin. And then in this new Superman movie, you're like, hello, beefy boy. Like,
give him like 1 inch heels, put him in a boot. And then he's like, all right, there he is. Like,
I don't even think they had to do that because I think he's 6'4". I think Corn Sweat's like
6'4"?
I think he's 6'4". Yeah, Corn Sweat's a tall dude. They said that he shredded the Cavill suit when he got into it because they had to like rip it so he could fit into it. Height wise, not muscle wise, but he's a huge. Well, now maybe.
I mean Henry Cavill was giant. Like he was huge.
But can I be honest with you? Henry Cavill was the wrong kind of big.
No, I don't disagree with that necessarily.
And that, like look, to me, the and this is the thing that I think Christopher Reeve Superman does better than any Superman thus far. Superman's a character you have to want to give a hug. You have to want to like see him show up and be like, oh, we're good. We're all safe. Like it's a funny running gag in some like Superman animated movies and in some comics where like criminals will like hijack something in Metropolis, a bus or whatever, and be like, we're going to hold you hostage until we get what we want. And nobody on the bus is scared. And they're like, why aren't you? They're like, well, Superman's going to come take care of this. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's a funny running gag that they've come up with because like I always joke the trade-off of Superman stuff is that you don't have street crime, but you know what you do have is like giant kaiju trying to kill you every week. That's the trade-off of Superman. But it's, I just love that. And Christopher Reeve has that. Like when he saves that cat from the tree, you're like, I wouldn't be surprised if that kid just jumped in his arms and was like, thanks, buddy. Because he has that energy. He does have a bit of the like, look here, son. Whereas like Corn Sweat appears to have, hey, buddy. energy, which is both very valid interpretations of Superman. It just depends on the era we're in. And in the 70s, that was Superman. He was kind of the your dad character. He was the like epitome of I never lie. I'm always, that's what he was.
Yeah. This like version that elementary schools told us, like George Washington. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Where it's that like cannot tell a lie, chopping down the cherry tree.
Yep.
Wooden teeth.
Yep. Every time somebody's like a Superman thing is corny, I was like, do you know what character you're talking about? If it wasn't corny, I would be a little concerned. Like he has to be corny.
Yes.
And it's like
it's like the Trunks, man.
It's like the Trunks. Yeah, he wants people to not be afraid of him, so he looks a little silly. Like it's the whole thing. It's part of the mythos. Real quick, Gene Hackman. How'd you like Gene Hackman as Lex?
Now, I don't know what makes a good Lex Luthor. Let me put it that way. That being said, I love Gene Hackman with every fiber of my being. He can do no wrong.
Of course, yeah.
So from that perspective, of course, I loved it. But from your perspective, I'd be interested, like, is he a good Lex Luthor? Like, in your understanding, in the way you would like a Lex Luthor to be portrayed, or, like, let's say written and then separately portrayed, because I think those are two, kind of like what I was talking about earlier with, like, Henry Cavill. It's like, it's not Henry Cavill's fault that that he
wasn't a Superman that we've, seen and or really want,
Because, like, I think he's a good Superman, but, like, the Clark Kent, but, like, again, that's not Henry Cavill's fault. Like, how do you, with that in mind, what do you think about Gene
I think Gene Hackman's given a great, fun performance. You know, he's big, he's smarmy, he feels like he gets all of that. He surrounds himself with, like, idiots, which Lex does in the comics. And in, like, that's one of my favorite parts about this movie, too, in the funniest way is, like, him and Otis, where he's just, like, every time Otis, it's like, it's so weird, but it's also, it feels very Lex to have that kind of guy around. Because everything about Lex is trying to make himself feel better. He lives in like an underground castle in this movie. All of that is great. Now, for me, I don't love the like land tycoon Lex storyline. That is very boring to me. Contrast that with like All-Star Superman, like one of the most famous Superman comics ever, where like he's small, like Lex is short, but he's super buff and he's super fit because he's trying to compete with Superman. He's trying to be like, this is what real human perfection is, not that. He didn't have to work for that. Superman needs to disgust Lex Luthor because he makes Lex Luthor feel inferior. And that isn't exactly this. Like, this version of Lex is so like, I'm the evil mastermind. He literally refers to himself as like an evil mastermind of his times. And that is like, don't get me wrong, that is so 70s superhero, Silver Age. The villains know they're villains. They're not that complex. It's not a complaint. I think Gene Hackman delivers all of his lines like he's chewing the scenery, which is so funny because the only reason he took this movie is because Marlon Brando took this movie. Legitimately, that's the only reason he took it. I'll tell a story about that, but in the documentary Superman, the Christopher Reeve story, which is beautiful and brilliant, and everyone should watch that. It's very, very hopeful and sad. It's great. It's a great documentary. Christopher Reeve talked about working with Marlon Brando, the little that he did, some of those like scenes where they're talking, and he was like, he collected his $2 million and left. Like, that's all he did.
Right.
And so he was Gene Hackman was shocked when Christopher Reeve, an actor who had not been in anything but stage work up till that point, really, knocked on his door and said, "Hey, do you want to rehearse?" He said Gene Hackman literally looked at him like, "Sure," which is so funny because Gene Hackman's chewing the scenery in this movie. Like he's really giving it. I don't know. Like, so that's my thing, is this Lex is not very complex. I love when a Lex is complex. I think the best Lex Luthor to date is Michael Rosenbaum in Smallville, because he's so complex. You really root for him for a long time, but that's a way that TV can do. The thing I love about Nicholas Hoult in what we've seen so far of his Lex in the trailers is that he looks like he just loathes Superman. He looks like he can't stand the sight of him. He's going to be a generational hater. And that's what I want from a Lex. So I do love what Gene Hackman's doing. I don't necessarily love the way Lex is portrayed.
Yeah.
It's just not very complex, you know. And this is not a complex movie. This is a very like broad strokes heroism movie. So he fits into this world great. But yeah, how do you feel about him in comparison to others you've seen or what I said?
Yeah, I mean, like, I have some awareness of like Smallville and stuff, and I do know that like that the relationship between Clark and Lex is like really special and great in Smallville.
It is.
And that's like one of the things that makes Smallville like genuinely great is that. And so like from that is something that that I am confused about maybe is like because I thought Lex Luthor was like an Osborn from Spider-Man, where it's like because there's like a Lex Corp or whatever. Like I thought he was this like billionaire, like owns the city kind of thing. Because like I know at one point he's like in the comics he's like the president. Like
yep. President Luthor's a very famous storyline in a lot of comics.
Right. So it's like in this,
at a certain point in time felt very unbelievable. Now, not so much. Now it's very realistic.
Yeah. And so I was like a little confused by that part of the portrayal where I was like, is he like not like, has he just not become Lex Luthor? I mean, he has hair, obviously, so he's not Lex Luthor yet.
Well, he has hair, but it's a wig.
Right. Which I'm
sure it was Gene Hackman saying, "I'm not shaving my head."
Yes, he also said, "I'm not going to shave my mustache." And so, did you know about? I read this on IMDb.
I didn't know about this one.
So before the movie, Gene Hackman said like, "I won't take it if you're going to make me shave my mustache." So Richard Donner was like, "Okay, if you shave your mustache, I'll shave my mustache." Richard Donner did not have a mustache.
That's amazing.
And so Gene Hackman showed up on set, shaved his mustache, and Richard Donner peeled off the fake mustache he was wearing.
Incredible.
Which is like, if I were Gene Hackman, I'd be a little mad. But like,
Gene Hackman, there's some pretty good stories about him in Barry Sonnenfeld's book. Gene Hackman was apparently not like amazing to work with because being an actor was just something he was really good at. He wasn't comfortable with it.
Really?
Because he's like a rancher dude. That's what he grew up doing. And so he's, you know what I mean? Like the emotions and all that was just something he really was great at. Yeah. He just wasn't comfortable. So he could be a little bit hard to work with at times. Yeah. Anyway, you are correct. Yeah, this Lex is different. This Lex is like already evil and already on the run from the FBI, I think. Never made super clear if he's like gonna be arrested until whatever. I don't know. But I much prefer the version of Lex that is either like Clark's age, growing up with him, or like you said, owns the city. LexCorp is a major conglomerate on par with like Queen Consolidated and Wayne Enterprises, like these other like famous DC Comics things. Like a lot of comics use Batman and him as parallels where they'll like both be bidding for a government contract or something. Yeah. So they know each other. Or I just watched an animated Superman movie where like Batman and him were partners and Bruce shut down all the like military tech stuff he was trying to do. Yeah. So that's my preferred version of Lex, is where he's a businessman or he's coming up with Clark. Yeah. Those are my favorite versions of the character. So yes, it is odd for them to do it the way they did it in this one, but I get it. It's a little bit simpler. It's a little bit more broad strokes. Yeah. He's still the evil businessman, billionaire guy, right? Just in a different way, you know. Yeah,
it definitely is. It feels like a more like Silver Age, like truly
Silver Age is the perfect way to describe it.
Interpretation of a lot of it. You know what I mean? It feels very much like a throwback to the serials and things like that. Yes. Like there's literally a moment in the movie where Superman, like Lois Lane's hanging off the helicopter, and he like Superman's like at the bottom of the thing and he's like about to change. He goes up to a phone booth, but it's not enclosed, and he's like and he has to find a place, and then it goes into the turnstile and changes there. Which I was like, it's funny that this is like the first like Superman movie. Yeah. Is that true, or is there what? Or was
there were like a bunch of like old serials
okay,
before this? Yeah,
but it's just funny that they're even referencing those, like referencing
Yeah.
old Superman material. Because like at this point, Superman is an old comic, and it's
Yeah.
like to us, this movie is. I mean, this movie came out when my dad was. Well, my dad's maybe not a great example because my dad was probably 19 when this movie came out, but my mom was like 12, I think, when this movie would have come. Yeah, my mom would have been 12 when this movie came out. So it's like, for me, this movie feels very, very old, and to know that Superman was already an old character at this point is pretty funny.
Yeah, there's already a history implied.
Yeah.
But
there's already references to old versions of the character that they can make.
Yes, yeah. That sequence I love, just him saving people.
Yeah.
The don't worry, I've got you. You've got me. Who's got you?
Got you?
So good,
Yeah.
right? Like everything about that segment. And so the director's cut adds a scene after that like montage where he goes and talks to Jor-El in the Fortress of Solitude. And I am shocked they cut that.
Yeah.
Because it just like in that scene he's talking, he's like it felt essentially Jor-El's like, you liked how it felt, and he's like, it was incredible. It just helping people made him feel incredible. And then Jor-El has to kind of tell him, he's like, you can't reveal your identity. And Clark's like, why? And he's like, you may be invulnerable, but your enemies or whoever may come after the people you love and threaten you through, which is a very Superman. So those are my favorite Superman stories, where it's like, don't kill Superman, attack what he loves. Like that's my favorite way into a Superman story. But he tells him that, and then Jor-El just kind of essentially is like, if I could embrace you in my arms as my son. Like he's telling him he's proud of him.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I was like, wow, this, because then what it does is it makes that moment, which is the best scene in the entire movie, where Clark comes to Lois's house after Superman has been there, and she's all flustered, and she walks off, and he gives what I genuinely think is the single greatest Superman performance moment ever, where he's like, he takes off the glasses and he rises, and you're like, I watched him in camera turn into Superman. That is insane.
And then put the glasses back on and immediately go back, like immediately change.
What I tell everyone, because this scene makes the rounds every couple of months on social media of people like, have you seen this? It's like, yes, we've seen the very famous Superman movie. But no one ever talks about the moment when he goes back to Clark and why. My favorite thing about this, and this is what makes Superman a great character, is because he's just like you and me. But the reason he shrinks back down and puts the glasses on is because he's scared to talk to a pretty girl. Yeah. He's scared to open up to a pretty girl. Like this woman that he's clearly in love with to some degree. He's scared to talk to her. He's scared to be open with her. That is so good. And no one ever brings up that from like a story standpoint. But man, his performance in that moment, you're like, holy shit, this is incredible.
That's Superman, baby.
That is Superman, baby. I genuinely love that. How do you feel about him reversing time by flying backwards?
I thought that was in like 2 or 3. Legitimately, I thought that was later. That was the funny thing. I was like, all right, like I know I'm not going to get the reversing time thing because I know that's in 2 or 3 because I thought Zod was in 1. It's obviously very corny.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I don't know why everybody got so mad about it. I don't know why.
Yeah, like, they're just like, that's not how that works. It's like he's flying wearing knee-high red boots, and
he's from Krypton, and the thing that kills him is kryptonite. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, what are we talking about here? He flew here as a baby in a ship that talked to him in his dad's voice, and he goes to the Fortress of Solitude, and he wears a red like, what are we talking about here? And so like, yeah, it's corny, and like it whatever. Like it in the same way that like Gene Hackman's Lex Luthor doesn't feel like the Lex Luthor that I like have in my head through like cultural osmosis. It's like I feel kind of similar to that, where it's like that doesn't really feel like a power he should have.
No.
But like I don't know, it's like
who
it's
cares
a
little bit.
It's a really big dramatic moment. Like Meg was on the couch with me. I knew this was when it was happening. I was like, oh wait, shit, this is in this movie. But Meg was like kind of half watching at that point, and then she looks up and Superman's holding a dead Lois Lane.
Yeah.
And she was like, did they fucking kill Lois Lane in the first movie? And I was like, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah. And he flies up and hears Jor-El speaking to him in the clouds.
Yeah, and then does one of maybe the best movie screams of all time.
Yes.
Flies into the cloud. Like that's such a powerful moment. It's like the end result is kind of corny, but like, I don't know. The moment why they did it, I get. They wanted a big, powerful, emotional ending between Superman and Lois Lane. The way that they solve it, I don't know, whatever. Megan literally was on the couch and she was like, "True love's first kiss," and then he kisses her and then puts her on the ground and then flies away. Yeah. And I was like, "That ain't gonna be the thing that saves her."
Nope.
But I don't know. It's
corny, but also it's a movie from the 70s. Like,
and it's very Silver Age, man. Like that is like what it like. It is supposed to be a little corny. He's, like.
I agree.
Yes, like I don't know. It doesn't bother me. I don't love it. Like I would have done something different potentially, but I don't know. It's fun. Yeah, and it's well done. It's well done. Like you can't say
it's not handled in any kind of. It's treated with honesty. You know what I mean? Like it's treated very sincerely, which is the biggest thing this movie does. Everything is sincere in this.
And I think the effect looks good, like of the his like the trail spinning around the earth and the earth. I don't know, like I like it. Like I don't know. Man.
Let's talk about practical effects then, real quick, because they're awesome in this movie.
It's genuinely incredible how much better this movie looks doing some of those effects. Like honestly, like Clark Kent running past the train, like you can tell how they're doing it, but it looks better than the way Twilight did it 30 years later.
And it's so practical because they're literally just driving a truck with him hanging off the back running. Like that's all they're doing. It's like awesome.
So many of them look so. There's like a couple of the compositing shots of him flying that like aren't timed perfectly, but
it's the first time it's ever been done. Like
there's
this.
So many of them that look really good, where the lighting looks good. Like you can tell it's rear projection, but I don't care, man. Like it looks good. It looks cool. Like the one. This is kind of ever so slightly tangential. This movie, I think. I was surprised with how not cheesy so much of it was, in like a way that I was like genuinely like was I thought was incredible, in the way that like I knew that this movie dips into some cheese. The cheesiest moment by far is them flying through him and Lois flying through clouds, and the weird poem. That is like the cheesiest moment where I was like, all right, this is one step too far into cheese.
This is where you assume what you assume the whole movie. I agree with you completely. Yeah, that's the part where you're like, okay.
I was like, all right, this is going on too long. And that is quite literally the only moment where I felt that. And even then, the effects still look pretty good, where they fly up through the clouds and they it's like actual clouds and stuff. Like, I don't know, man. But the effects are genuinely incredible. The way they do the suits on Krypton with the glowing suits is so cool and looks
the way
great.
They do Krypton blowing up still looks amazing because it's just like a fire in a trash can that they drop a camera into. That's legitimately like how they did it. Yeah. Like it's still all the flaming suns. It all looks incredible 40, 50 years later. Like
all of the space stuff, all of the planets, like especially like when I think it's when we fly onto Krypton, the opening of the movie is something I want to talk about separately. Yeah. But like we see the thing and it flies over the Daily Planet and it flies past the moon and then we're flying through the galaxy and then we land on Krypton. It's like, that looks incredible. I genuinely don't know how they did that and how they made it feel so seamless, like without CGI, like the way they actually like seamlessly transitioned from what is probably like 5 or 6 different miniatures. I honestly thought was like really, really, really incredible. Like all of the miniature work, like is really great. Like there's a couple of moments like, okay, I can tell that is a miniature, specifically like with the Hoover Dam breaking. And there's like some of those is like, okay, I can tell that's a miniature, but so many of the other miniatures look so real and big and feel huge, like the dome opening and like when they get shot off into space, like that is so, it feels giant. It feels huge in a way that the miniatures are really hard to nail like that. Yeah. So many of those effects I think are done just absolutely incredibly.
Movie's incredible.
Yeah.
The intro. What about the intro? Yeah.
I thought that was, I thought it was a really fun way to open. And then I was like, why did they only talk about the Daily Planet?
Yeah.
Like they only talk about the Daily Planet. I thought that was really weird. Where I was like,
nobody remembers that intro. Every time I watch it, I was like, oh yeah, that is how this movie starts. Like,
it's such a strange. Like I like the idea of like opening up on the silver screen. You know, like
the curtain drawing.
The comic book opening and the kid. But then they just talk about the Daily Planet and then they fly off. I was like,
yeah.
Wait, what? I thought we were gonna get like in a galaxy hundreds of light years away, there's the planet of Krypton, and we go there now. Like, what? Okay.
Nope. Yeah.
I thought that was strange. I thought that was strange, where it was like setting up the Daily Planet for later, but I'm like, it's a news, you know what I mean? Like, what do I need that set up for?
Yeah. Anything else in this movie where we get into Superman political hour?
The score rules. Mario
Brilliant,
Puzo?
genuinely.
Mario Puzo wrote this. He's the one who wrote who wrote The Godfather.
Oh.
Yeah, he wrote the book The Godfather and then wrote the screenplay.
Oh,
also wrote this. I was like, huh? I thought
range.
That was incredible.
That's what we call range.
That's what we call range, bad boy. It's funny how closely I associate Richard Donner with these movies and literally nothing else.
Yep.
What else did he do? I genuinely don't know what else Richard Donner
I've seen other Richard Donner movies, but I don't know what they are. You know what I mean?
It's like, and Richard Donner, it's like, it's Richard Donner's Superman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's the Richard Donner cut of Superman 2.
We do forget how much of a big deal he was for a very long time. You know what I mean? Like, Richard Donner was a director for very long, but it is true. You think of him as the Superman movies.
Yeah. It's like, I just think
funny.
that's funny.
Yeah.
The Planet Effects rule, obviously. Costuming goes crazy hard. The costuming in this movie goes crazy hard.
Yes, it does.
They really had this boy naked as the day he was born.
Yeah, they really did.
They had that baby hanging out.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, I could have lived without that.
Okay.
The use of color, the fact like how, when and where they choose to use the Superman red, which is like basically in every shot, I love very, very, very much.
It's great. Yeah.
It's like such a great choice. And like the movie looks like it was shot in Technicolor. It is so, the color is so beautiful in this movie. I wish movies still looked like this.
I desperately wish movies still looked like this. Yeah. Like Wicked, where we at? Like
literally. Like I think this movie does one thing a little too much, which is like the diffusion filter. So everything's a little too painterly for my taste. So I was like, man, they had 3 pairs of pantyhose over that lens.
Yeah, they gave it a look. They just went a little far. You know what I mean? Like, but at least they took a swing. You know?
Oh
like,
yeah, don't get me wrong. Like I love a diffusion filter. I use it on basically everything I shoot at this point. But I'm using like a quarter, where they're using a full. They're using a full stop of diffusion. How over budget was this movie?
It had to be ridiculous, right? Like,
there were so many moments where I was like, how does this movie from 1978 look like this? The amount of sets, the amount of, I think
the Daily Planet's just bustling with people at all times, and it feels like this massive area. Like,
yes, it is
for very few scenes in that place, actually. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's like the helicopter scene, where it's like they just had like a real helicopter, like. Like obviously, it's
Lex's
not like,
lair, like Lex's lair's massive and practical, and in a way that they would never do now. You know what I mean?
The amount of times
said, the new Superman movie, a bunch of the sets are real, which is super. Like the Fortress of Solitude is like heavily practical.
Oh hell
which
yeah!
Is super cool.
You love it.
I love
it. Oh shit! What was I gonna say? Oh man, those scenes with him still when he's like in the wheat field about to leave, and it's him and Ma Kent, and I'm like, this is so gorgeous. It is beautiful, genuinely incredible.
It pulled, at least the imagery of it pulled straight out of a comic, or I guess inspired this comic, because I think this comic came out like 10 years after this, now that I'm thinking about it. There's a comic, very famous comic book that I will talk about soon. Wherein there's that imagery of the wheat, and it's gorgeous. It's so good.
Yeah. I also genuinely appreciate how mildly horny this movie is.
Yeah.
We love a mildly horny movie. It's crazy how like kid friendly this movie is in a lot of ways, and then also he's checking out what color her underwear is.
Yes.
And we need to give her a vigorous chest massage and mouth to mouth. Yeah. I'm like, ugh.
I wouldn't ask my men to do. Yeah, you're like, okay.
That's gross. Okay. All right. Wild. Yeah. But yeah, those were a couple of the notes I took during the movie. One thing I was also thinking about was, you know what this movie feels like to me in the craziest way? It feels like The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
And I mean that with the utmost. I mean,
it's got
that
all the whimsy, complimentary,
I mean that as the highest compliment possible, because I love the Wizard of Oz with every fiber of my being. And this movie feels like that to me. It has that same like storybook whimsy, gorgeously shot, like a technical masterpiece for the time. Like this so feels like the Wizard of Oz to me in every great way I could possibly mean. With like one of the most famous lead performances of all time, like, you know, the ruler with which every iteration of that character will forever be measured by. Yeah. I think that this movie is like that, is like the 70s Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, it's so charming. It's so big. It's so epic.
Yeah. And feels also so over budget.
And feels so over budget. Yeah. That Krypton stuff was not cheap, I'm sure.
None of it feels cheap. None of it,
yeah. Yeah. I really love this movie. It's so charming. Like go into it with just an open heart, because there's not an ounce of cynicism in this movie at all.
Not a bit.
Okay, Superman Political Hour.
Superman Political Hour. Here we go.
I'm trying to decide how hard I want to go at this. I'm just going to start with Superman is an illegal immigrant. That is the metaphor. That is the thing.
Yeah.
He was created by two Jewish men. He is not Jesus. Superman is not Jesus. He is Moses. Like, I just need that to be... Let's let it go. I understand the desire to co-opt this character. Don't do it.
I think versions of the character were co-opted to be a Jesus metaphor, but like the character as it was written, as it was intended,
is not.
Yeah.
So yes. So we're talking about, truth, justice, in the American way. That is no longer the Superman motto. A lot of people got really mad about that because they view Superman as a hero of the United States. He is not. Superman is a hero for the world. Yeah. Like, so often Superman stories are like, oh, he's in wherever. He's in Europe. He's in Asia. He's in the Middle East. He's wherever, just helping people. Just because. He is not a hero landlocked to the United States. He's not, like, there are very famous comic books. Frank Miller's comic book, where Superman is a government shill. That is a thing. People also forget that is an Elseworlds comic book. That is not mainline Superman. That is taking Superman and turning him into a utilitarian nearing fascism. That is that Superman. That's that one. And we cheer when he gets his ass kicked, right? Like, that's the thing. The new motto is truth, justice, and a better tomorrow. Infinitely better in every single way. Superman is not your, I'm just going to say it, he's not your conservative ideology. The sect of the conservative community who co-opt Superman and the Punisher have never read a comic book in their life.
No.
Ever. There will be some proof of that later. I have a comic I'm going to show off, and I'm going to read one of the panels from it.
Yeah.
There is a comic book where Superman just talks to someone on a ledge trying to talk them out of taking their own life. This is a character who is compassionate. Smallville famously has a scene where Clark is like, I'm an elite... Because it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Because Tom Welling is so earnest. He's like, I'm an illegal immigrant. I just want to do the right thing, and that's taking care of a kid, man.
Yeah.
We're living in like the time where we need a Superman in real life, but we need what Superman actually is, not what all these... people who are like, this is the word of law and morality are not the same thing. You don't care about the law. You just care about being a bigot. Like, that's the thing, is Superman is so far from a bigot. Superman would help anybody. He is just good. That is just it. He just cares about taking care of people. I am so sick of people telling me what Superman is. Guys, to show off, this is just some of the comic books I will be recommending today. I read Superman comic books. I know the character. We're about to do trivia, and I'm going to fail horribly at it because I'm bad at that kind of thing, but I know the character because I've read the stories. He is an illegal immigrant who is a journalist whose villain is a billionaire. He's not your friend if you're being a bigoted asshole. I'm so sick of it. I'm like, I love this character a lot. I went through a really big, long journey with him to fall in love with Superman. I loved him as a kid. I fell out of interest in it, and I found him again as an adult. Yeah. I love Superman. Please stop co-opting him and turning him into something he is not. That is my rant. He is an illegal immigrant who fights a billionaire regularly and sticks up for people who just need it regardless of any other factors. He's good. He is good personified. Stop co-opting Superman and turning him into something he's not. I'm so sick of it. I can't stand it. I just am sick of certain communities co-opting this character into things that he is not. And please, let's just take it back to the fact that he is an immigrant and he is a good person and a journalist. And anyway.
I will truly never understand why and how these morons co-opt these characters. It's like the Punisher more than any other, where I'm like, man, you don't know anything about the Punisher. You just like the name and the symbol.
Yep. And what he does, even though every single Punisher comic ever written has him go against authority, has him kill cops if they, you know what I mean? Like it's has him do everything that you stand against, but because he's the guy that kills criminals, you like him.
Yeah.
No, dumbasses. Like, no.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
It's incredible how the
lack of media literacy. Yeah. Anyway,
I don't even think it's media literacy. I think it's just plain stupidity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lessons first?
Oh, yeah, lessons on this movie. Look, we are living in a time of deeply cynical films, I feel like. It's like my recommendation on the last episode was The Life of Chuck, a deeply sincere movie. This new Superman movie feels like it's oozing with sincerity. This movie proves you can be sincere and just work. At any time period. The 70s was the most cynical time for cinema. Like, every character was morally questionable, and that's what it was. And yet Superman comes out and has stood the test of time. You can be sincere. You can be a little corny. You can,
it's allowed.
That's really my lesson is sincerity is okay. Don't steer away from it just because it's a little bit harder to pull off. I love sincerity. I don't write that many sincere things, and I really want to do it a little bit more. So that's my lesson.
Yeah, agreed. Man, if you can go over budget and make a cinematic classic, go over budget, make a cinematic classic, man.
Hell yes.
I wish. We always talk about, like, as a community, I feel like we always talk about how great practical effects can be.
Yeah.
And how much the film industry is struggling with all of these, with crunch and with all of these special effects companies that are struggling to bid, and there's hundreds of thousands of these special effects shots in movies. It's like, man, if you just did some of them practical,
you'd save a lot of money.
I feel like you'd save money, but because it's slower, like, that's the thing, is it's harder in pre-production and production, but it's easier in post. And yet the trade-off is, all right, let's make post infinitely harder and way more expensive.
It's you have to commit. That's the thing, is I've learned that it's like you have to commit to it, right? So it's like you look at certain things Marvel's done and you're like, why was that green screen?
Yeah.
Why was that shot on a stage with no discernible features of any kind? It's because you had to commit to it then. Like, and even then you don't really have to. Pony Smasher, David F. Sandberg, just released a really interesting video on his YouTube channel about how different certain scenes in the Shazam sequel were and how they used things, but they still shot it on location. You know what I mean? Like, you still have all the tools available to you, but I agree, practicality.
I mean, it's like the other piece of that is, like, so many of these movies start production with an unfinished script, or are changing the script mid-production. Yep. I mean, like, look at something like Madam Web, which is, like, infamous at this point for, like, when Dakota Johnson signed on, it was a completely different script than the one they shot.
Yeah.
And it's like that, you can't do that with practical effects. You can't, and I think that's the trade-off they're trying to make, is giving themselves the leniency in post to change the entire thing. And I'm like, that's just not how movies are made.
No.
And you wonder why these productions are so troubled, and you wonder why can't you just write something and stick to it? I don't know, man. That's the part that I don't understand. So and I think the thing that gets hurt is things like the practical effects, and the practical effects in this movie, and what we talked about last week with Friday the 13th remake. It's like the practical effects in that movie are incredible. And that was from 2008 or whatever. I wish more movies could do that. Obviously there's going to be things that you can't do practically, or you can't do safely practically. And that's where visual effects come into play. But at the same time, they were doing this shit in 1978, and it still looks, at some points it looks but then there are other points where it genuinely looks incredible to this very day. And so the technology has only gotten better. The methods have only gotten more detailed. I don't see why we can't continue to do this in today's society. That's my recommendation. More
agreed.
practical effects.
Love it.
Idiots.
More practical effects.
Idiots.
B segment.
B segment. We're going to do Spencer's favorite thing in the world, which is trivia. This is all Superman trivia. I have a lot of questions here. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to go until you get 5 wrong and see how far you get.
So we're going to do 5?
No, you'll get... what is Clark Kent's middle name? Jacob, Joseph, Walter, or Thomas?
Joseph.
You are correct. What is the name of the dimensional plane where Kryptonian criminals were exiled for their crimes?
The Phantom Zone.
The Phantom Zone. I didn't even have to read the options. What supervillain killed Man of Steel in Superman number 75?
Doomsday?
Doomsday. You got it.
Yeah.
Which of Superman's sweethearts became the superheroine known as Insect Queen? Is it Lori Lamaris, Lila Laurel, Lois Lane, or Lana Lang?
Is it Lana? Is that something that happens to Lana?
It is indeed. In Superman,
I legitimately didn't know that.
Yep. Who is the natural father of Daily Planet editor Perry White's son, Jerry? Bizarro Perry White, Bibbo Babowski, Lex Luthor, or Emil Hamilton?
I have no idea. So wild guess here. Is it Lex Luthor?
It is indeed Lex Luthor. Okay. You're 5 for 5 at this point.
Fascinated by that. That sounds really like an interesting. I didn't know about that.
Who created Superman? Do you know the names, or am I going to give you?
I don't actually. Yeah, give me options. Yeah.
Joe Shuster and Jerry Siegel, Jack Kirby and
Joe
Bob
Shuster
Kane.
and Jerry Siegel. Yeah, it's them.
You are correct.
Yeah.
What member of the Superman family died in Crisis on Infinite Earths?
It was
Jimmy
Supergirl,
Olsen,
correct?
Superman, Lois Lane, or Supergirl?
Supergirl, right?
You are correct. You're 7 for 7 at this point, baby. When did Lois and Superman first kiss? Superman 248, Superman 3, Action Comics number 1, or Action Comics 124?
Oh, was it Action Comics 1? I can't imagine it was, but I don't know.
It was not.
What was it?
Let's find out. Superman number 3.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Okay, so you've missed 1 at this point.
I've missed 1.
1 for 8. What is Superman's Kryptonian name?
Kal-El.
You got it.
Kal-El, no.
Kal-El, no.
No.
What is the name of Superman's birth mother?
Ooh, give me options here.
Zala with an X, Feora, Kara, or Laura?
Laura.
You are correct. All right, that's 10. You've only got 1 wrong. Who did Superman entrust with Kryptonite Ring to stop him from if he ever turned
Batman.
evil?
Batman.
You are correct. Who is Superman's first supervillain? Brainiac, Bizarro, Ultra Humanite, or Lex Luthor?
Lex Luthor?
Wrong.
Damn.
The Ultra
Wait, read that
Humanite.
question. Fascinating. Okay, cool.
Was the
That's
first
awesome.
supervillain Superman faced in his first appearance, Action Comics number 13.
Awesome. I love that.
2 for 12.
Okay.
Which of these does Superman have in his Fortress of Solitude? Alien Zoo, chess playing robot, giant steel diary, or all?
All. He has all of those things.
He does indeed.
The giant steel diary is really fun to me. Like he's like lasering. It's awesome.
What object is Superman holding in the cover of Action Comics number 1?
A car.
A car is correct. What does black kryptonite do to Kryptonians?
Oh shit.
Causes hallucinations, removes superpowers permanently, splits them into 2 beings, or induces sleep.
Does it split him into 2 beings? Is that black? Is that one?
It is indeed.
Okay.
You are 2 for 15. What was Jimmy Olsen's superhero name in the bottle city of Kandor?
Ooh, give me some options there.
Firestorm, Flame Bird, Nightwing, or Hawkfire?
This is a complicated one. I want it to be Nightwing because there's a lot of history with that and other characters in the DC universe, but read them one more time.
Firestorm, Flame Bird, Nightwing, or Hawkfire?
Was it Hawkfire?
It was not.
Oh, what was it?
It was Flame Bird. It's a bad name.
It's a
bad name. What was that, 3? Is that your third one wrong?
That's my third miss, yeah.
Which of Superman's foes was a colossal ape with kryptonite eye beams? Titano, Kongorilla, Ape X, or Gorilla Grodd?
So Gorilla Grodd is a villain. He's not the villain. Is it... what's the first one? What was the name on the first one again?
Titano.
Is it Titano?
It is indeed. Oh my God, you're killing it, dude. What does Superman do in Action Comics number 900? Assassinate a foreign official, renounce his U.S. citizenship, run for president, or join the army?
Renounce his U.S. citizenship, please.
You are correct.
But art isn't political, guys.
Which of Superman's enemies is an imp from the 5th dimension?
I do not know how to pronounce his name. Mr. Malixaplik or something.
You are correct. It is Mr. It's Mr.
It's
Mr.
a whole thing.
M.
There's a great episode of Superman the Animated Series where they face off. It is truly brilliant. It's so fun and funny. It's a good one.
Hell yeah. Who played Superman in the 1978 film?
Christopher Reeve.
I thought it was Marlon Brando.
No,
all right,
he
that's
played
20.
Jor-El.
You've gone through 20 questions and you've only missed 3. You're doing great so far. Which Superman villain is the tyrannical ruler of the planet Apocalypse?
Darkseid.
You are correct. What is Superman's day job?
He's a journalist.
You are correct. Who is the editor-in-chief of the Daily Planet? These got really easy.
Perry White. Yeah, these ones got really easy. We can stop whenever.
What is the first newspaper Clark Kent worked for? The Daily Bugle, Daily Star, Cleveland Evening News, or the Daily Planet? It's the
Daily Planet. Yeah.
Oh my God!
It depends. I was going to say it depends. There's a version where he doesn't. Yeah, he's a reporter before he goes to the planet. I just don't remember what is it.
It's the Cleveland Evening News.
Fantastic.
All right, so that's 4. You've got one more left. Who is Superman's camera-wielding sidekick?
Jimmy Olsen.
No, it's Peter Parker, idiot. No, I'm just kidding.
But wouldn't that be fun?
What mythical creature did Clark Kent date in college? Fairy, mermaid, vampire, elf.
I think fairy? I
think I know this one. I don't think it's fairy. It is not fairy. It's mermaid.
I have no idea what that's about, but that's 5, ladies and gentlemen.
You got through 26 and you only and you missed 5. There are a lot left on here. Let's finish this page. There's only 3. There's only 4 more left. We'll finish the page and then we'll call it there. What robot maintains Superman's Fortress of Solitude? Collects, Skeets, Tobor, or Amazo?
Skeets.
Skeets. Wrong.
No, it's not. Sorry, not Skeets. Skeets is Booster Gold's robot. It's not Amazo. What's the name? What are the other ones?
Tobor or Kelex.
Kal-X. Yeah, sorry. That was a goof on my part. I heard Skeets and got excited because nobody talks about Booster Gold.
What color kryptonite is fatal to Bizarro creatures? Green, blue, red, pink.
Red, right? Because red doesn't...
Wrong.
What is it?
It's blue.
I guess that makes sense.
During his teenage years, Superman would sometimes travel to the future to fight crime with what super team?
Oh, the...
Infinity Inc. Legion of Superheroes.
Legion
Teen
of Superheroes.
Titans?
It's Legion of Superheroes.
Legion of Superheroes. This is the last question. Who played the Man of Steel in the first live-action Superman film? George Reeves, Christopher Reeve, Bud Collyer, or Kirk Allen?
It was George Reeves, right? But I didn't know that was a movie. Is that... Or is it Christopher Reeve with this being the first movie?
It's Kirk Allen, played Superman in the 1948 live-action movie Serial Superman and its 1950 Adam vs. Superman. He later appeared as Lois Lane's father in the 1978 Superman film.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
When did we see Lois Lane's father?
I have no idea. Is the father with the kid on the train? Lois is a kid.
Is Lois a kid on a train?
When he's that may be in the director's cut, but when he's running, the kid's like, "Mom, a man's running faster than the train." And she's like, "Oh, Lois Lane."
Oh,
yeah.
I don't think that's it. I didn't notice that. I mean, look, I noticed the kid being like, "Look, it's a kid running."
Yeah.
Is that Lois?
I have no idea. I think now, mind you, he's in the Fortress of Solitude for like 15 years in this version.
Yes.
Yeah, he's been there for a very long time. Like,
he's incubating.
Yeah.
But you did very well.
Thank you.
You got through 26. It took you 26 questions to miss 5 of them. Congratulations.
Well, that's exciting for me. I finally did pretty good.
You did great. And I'm so proud of you, and I love you.
Thank you. Recommendations?
Yeah. I don't have anything good. Why don't you start, and then I'll think of something.
Okay. I'm recommending Superman comics. The new Superman. It's the summer of Superman officially kicking off. The new Superman movie is out. I'm seeing it tonight. I'm very excited. So I'm going to recommend some Superman comics, mostly ones that you should read to get into comic books. For a very origin story-esque Superman for all seasons. This is incredible. There's scenes in this that made me cry. It's all about Superman told from the perspective of people around him, told in 4 seasons. So it's like each season is kind of a different flavor. It's like one of them's his parents, one of them is Lois, one of them's Lex, one of them's Lana. It's great. It's a genuinely incredible comic book. It's the first comic book you should read if you want to get into Superman. This one for sure. And then maybe the most famous origin story of Superman is Superman Birthright. This one does the other... It's a very different Krypton. It's a very different imagery and iconography. But this one starts with him as just a reporter traveling the world. It does what Man of Steel was trying to do with like the wayward Clark, where he's still hopeful, he's still happy, he still wants to help people. He just doesn't know how yet. He doesn't know what his heritage is yet. And this is all about that. It has a great Lex. It has a great Superman. I think the new Superman movie will be taking a little bit from this book. It's very good. I highly recommend Birthright. And then there's been a recent, this was very hard to find for a little while, there's a recent edition that came out of it. I have an older one, Superman Up in the Sky, maybe my favorite Superman story. This is a story about Superman traveling through the cosmos to save one little kid and just various journeys and challenges he has to go along the way. It is so good. Tom King has kind of gone on record saying he doesn't really care for Superman. He thinks he's kind of boring, and then he comes out and writes this, and it's a genuinely great Superman story. So, wild thing there. And then maybe the most important Superman story for right now is Superman Smashes the Klan. This is a book mostly told from the perspective of a Chinese immigrant, like a little kid, and then also Superman, and it's about immigrants and heritage, and the villain is the Klan. So if anyone ever tells you Superman isn't for all people, show them this panel, wherein he's holding 2 Klan members up, and let me read it. He says, what was it you called these kids, Roberta? Oh, that's right, bigots in bed sheets. Superman Smashes the Klan is genuinely brilliant. I love this book. It's for all ages too. Like it's one of their like young adult graphic novels, and it's brilliant and amazing. read this one. Art is very political and Superman is very political, just not how you think he is.
Yeah.
Those are my recommendations. If you want to read a more modern Superman run, I would recommend the current run by Joshua Williamson. It's very good. It's taking a lot of big, huge swings with what it's doing, and I really, really, really enjoy it. So that would be a modern one if you want to pick up something newer. Joshua Williamson's Superman run. Very good. I love Superman. I love him a lot. I can't wait to see this new movie tonight. Summer of Superman, baby.
Fuck yeah.
What do you got?
I was trying to think of movies that I felt, or things that I felt were relevant, and this is tangentially relevant. Obviously, immigration has been a very big part of the conversation as of late, and I think a movie that should be standard issue, everyone should have to watch it if you feel any type of way about illegal immigrants. I suggest watching the movie El Norte. I watched it in my very short time in college. I went to community college for 2 semesters, and then I left because of reasons. And one of my classes was an English class basically taught through movies, which I thought was really cool. And one of the movies she showed was a movie called El Norte, and it is about a brother and sister fleeing. I can't remember what. I think it's what was it? I think it's El Salvador is what country they're leaving. I could be wrong. Like their village gets pillaged, and I'm pretty sure their parents get murdered, and so they flee and make their way to America, and are illegal immigrants in America, and it tells their story, and it is absolutely heartbreaking. It is absolutely harrowing, and if you think anything. If you have any hard opinions on the legality around people coming here legally or illegally, I think you should have to watch that movie and understand a little bit about why so many people are coming to America. I mean, when we think of ourselves as the benchmark for a wonderful society and the American dream and all of this stuff, and then yet we hate people for wanting to come here, makes literally no sense to me.
Yep.
And so watching this movie, I think, should give most people a kinder understanding as to the reasons why so many people flee the countries that they're from and come to America, and what that actually looks like. Because it isn't just getting a backpack full of stuff and hopping over a river and making their way here. It is watch El Norte. It is an incredibly harrowing movie. I don't think it's the easiest movie to find. I think it might be on Canopy, if I'm not mistaken.
There is also a Criterion edition of it in circulation, a Criterion Blu-ray.
Did not know that. Okay, great.
I believe it's still in print. I have found it out in the wild before.
Okay, great.
So you should be able to buy it off their website.
Yeah, that movie's incredible. It is not an easy watch, so be prepared for that. It is not an easy watch, but it is one that I feel like everybody should have to watch that. If you live in America, specifically in a border state, you should have to watch that.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of stuff to watch, very heavy things, very fun things. Do your homework on some stuff. Superman is amazing. Go see the new Superman movie. That will be our next episode. We're going to talk about Superman 2025, directed by James Gunn. Next, so you should go and prep for all of that. Or don't. I don't know. Live your life.